Welcome to Food and Loathing, a weekly gathering of people in Las Vegas who like to talk food. I'm your host, Al Mancini. My co-host, Samantha Gemini Stevens, is not with us today. I apologize for that. She's in Oklahoma City, still dealing with some health issues, and I was just trying to get her on the phone, couldn't reach her, but we have been in touch with her. We know that she is trudging along, and we're sending out much love to her. And when I say we, that's Rich Johnson back there. He's here with us, our trusty engineer. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing very well. Excited to be ahead, assuming
Yes.
you're having me. Yes.
I'll have you anytime, my friend. We've got a big show this week. I'm sorry that Jem can't be with us, but we still have lots in store for you. Center of the show, we've got two extended interviews. First up, I chat with developer Chris Clifford about his efforts to bring a new restaurant-heavy development to Henderson and the challenges he's facing from both the city and a few of his neighbors. Look, I'm going to be fair. It might be a little inside baseball, but I am fascinated by what developers go through to try to bring us the restaurants that we love. So I spent about 15 minutes digging into that with him, hearing what people are bitching about, and we're going to get to that in the center of the show. Second centerpiece interview, Diane Mina, the founder of Diane's Bloody Marys, who will be hosting a Bloody Mary brunch this weekend at her husband Michael Mina's Aria restaurant, Bardot Brasserie. We're also going to give you a little preview of our long-form interview with Chef Martin Hirling of Wynn's new seafood restaurant, Pisces. The full interview there will be featured on next week's episode. And in the news, you will hear from the team at the Cosmopolitan talking about their Naughty Patty's Burger pop-up. And 7th and Carson's Liam Dwyer is going to share the news on the renovations coming to Carson Avenue's Restaurant Row. But because our jobs, we tend to cause us to visit a lot of restaurants every single week. It wouldn't be fair if we didn't share those experiences with you. So we're going to tell you about some of our most delicious ones. Rich, man, where have you been dining?
I have actually been a few places. Of course, that's over the last month, not the last week. So I had to save them up for us here. Tops of the list, the Oyster Bar at Sunset Station, which is bigger than the Palace Station, one by several seats. There is actually seating to go with the Oyster Bar area. Very nice in there. I had a shrimp Louis on a hot Sunday afternoon, 2 kinds of shrimp on this thing, and also the crab add-on, which was another $9, I think. Yeah, you get 2 huge shrimp with the tails on, and then a ton of the ultra tiny cocktail shrimp. That is the stuff I grew up on in Oregon. I didn't know there was any other shrimp when I was a child, except the little tiny ones.
Oh, man. That's so funny. I had little tiny salad shrimp in a dish I had this week, but they were good.
Oh, yeah. If you get them right. I'm going to the coast this weekend. This is a sudden trip to see a friend's a retirement party for a friend of mine who's been a dentist in our hometown for 45 years. And I'm going to hop over there and maybe get some of those fresh or right off the boat. So we'll see. Anyway, this salad is greens, cucumbers, and tomatoes. The crab, the extra $9, definitely worth it. Huge lumps of Maryland crab, or more likely the Indo-Pacific swimming crab that is an entirely different species, but still looks and tastes pretty much like Maryland crab. I did a little Googling there to figure that out.
Interesting.
I went to the new Whole Foods an hour after it opened on West Sahara near downtown the Summerlin complex, and I got to say, it's a much bigger Whole Foods. And that's about
I drove by it. I was not tempted to go in and look at the
There
Whole
is,
Foods.
A lot of others, like the couple I saw in Chicago and one in DC, they have a bar in the middle. Sometimes they have live music. They have other demonstrations and things. I didn't see any of that. Maybe it was just because it's the first day and they were just trying to get it all together. It's just a bigger Whole Foods, so a bigger seafood department. I think there were 8 or 9 different kinds of salmon. There's your Atlantic, your Pacific, your farm, your wild, your frozen. Anyway. But I like that, and I'll be back there. I even got myself a Amazon credit card because I got a new computer, which took it down to almost nothing. And now it's 5% off everything at Whole Foods forever. So using that card. So not a commercial.
Hey, I just sneezed on you. Sorry, man. How was that?
Oh, my God.
I don't have a cough button. I need a sneeze button on this end. We're doing this remote, by the way, folks. We had been hoping all 3 of us would be together in person, but some things went crazy. So I couldn't avert the sneeze.
Oh, well. Windy City Beef and Dogs. You've heard me talk about it before on West Lake Mead near the Sprouts. I thought about having a Chicago dog in honor of the new Pope, White Sox fan. Instead, the foot-long chili and cheese was just speaking to me, and it was fantastic. Poppy seed bun, nearly a foot long, but the dogs are not a foot long, so there are 2 dogs in the thing buried under the chili and cheese, and that really hit the spot.
Cool.
I don't even.
How was the chili?
Chili was, canned chili. It was fine.
Yeah, it's just pretty much just hot dog topping chili, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I want. That's all I expected. Have you been to Suzuya, the Japanese pastry shop at Buffalo, just south of 215?
Yeah, I love Suzuya. As a matter of fact, they briefly were operating their pastry chef and cafe on Spring Mountain Road, but they ended up turning that over to one of the other partners to run it. Suzuya's been around forever. If you love Japanese pastry, I've always enjoyed their stuff.
Yeah, 2012, they opened up, and they do cakes, pastries, macaroons, bread, the Japanese stuff, breakfast and lunch fare. I was there for breakfast, and I was, croque monsieur. I love a croque monsieur. It was a very nice ham, cheese, bechamel, egg sandwich, cut in half and presented in a half box like one of the nicer sandwiches you get to go at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Very tasty. But it was not a croque monsieur. I expected the ham and the sandwich covered in the melted cheese. I'd probably still get this again because it was very good, but now I know what I'm getting.
I think if you're going to go to a Japanese pastry shop, anytime you go to a Japanese pastry shop, you should definitely expect that you're going to get things that are not in the mainstream of what you've had at your Western pastry shops. As a matter of fact, like I had a sesame dessert the other day that, it seemed like something that would have been straight out of a Japanese pastry shop, but not something that, that Sue would have touched in a million years.
Yeah. Calling it a croque monsieur, I have a little issue with, but not enough that I would not get it again because it was really tasty.
Yeah, I'm going to say, sometimes I like to weigh in, like who's right and who's wrong, right? In this case, I'm saying if you're in a Japanese pastry shop and you order something French, expect it to be different than what you're used to. That's just me, but
noted for future reference. One other nice thing, the Parsley chain of Mediterranean wraps and bowls has come to the strip mall where I spend so much time talking about Rampart and West Lake Mead. If you're not familiar with Parsley, just think of a sort of Chipotle for shawarma. 2 huge rolls of meat. Go ahead.
Good company, Parsley, man. I've always had good food there.
They have 2 huge, those vertical spit roasters, one with chicken, the other with beef. You get a wrap or a bowl, and then you go down the line telling the assembler what you do and don't want. So I had a bowl of chicken, comes on a bed of lettuce, which also has some rice, tomatoes, cucumbers, red or hot. I had the green hot sauce, and then covered in tzatziki, and it was fantastic. So that's my the most of my dining things. A couple of things.
Sounds like you had some good meals.
I did.
Okay, so for me, May Daly's owner Richard Feminella celebrated his birthday with a chef collab and wine pairing dinner. He's calling it the Magnificent 7 dinner. And there were 4 chefs and sommeliers that took to put it together, 7 in all. So that was the name. This was actually my first full meal at this super cool steakhouse, which is right across from the Strat. Or if I'm going to be more honest, it's right across from the abandoned Aztec Inn. But
so the Aztec is closed? No,
I think so. Yeah, it didn't. Well, if it's open, I ain't going in there.
No, I'd never go in there. But yeah.
So that was a really great meal. I like May Daly's. It's a really, really cool spot. You get that off strip vibe, but you're right there on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's cool. It's very nicely decorated, beautiful space. They have free valet parking out front because it's kind of tucked in with one of those motels that's right there on Las Vegas Boulevard as well. I'm not going to go into detail on the menu because honestly, it's not their normal menu. I'm going to tell you the steak they served was very, very good. It was a filet. It was American Wagyu, incredibly tender. I also going to send a shout out to the 4 chefs who prepared this entire meal, and that would be Lalo Saavedra of Casa de Juliet in Centennial Hills, Chef Scott Romano from Lake of the Ozarks, and Chef Aziz Zari of Morocco and Sonoma. They joined May Daly's chef Thomas Espino. So thanks, gentlemen. It was absolutely fantastic.
And side note, the Aztec Inn has about a 4-page entry in Wikipedia.
Does it?
Going to the history back to when it was the Sun and Shine Motel, then the Sunshine Motel, then the Mojave Meadow Hotel, opened in 1958, opened in 57, renovated in 58, 60, and then 91.
Okay.
Not
We've
since.
never eaten at the actual Aztec Inn, but we looked out a window at it when I ate. So
Or drunk or had any video poker, but yeah, we drive by.
Yes. Okay. I dropped by Alantico Vinaio and Uncommons to get some sandwiches, and I was pretty excited to see several new specials added to the menu. So I actually had the Calvino, which was bresaola, a stracciatella cheese, caramelized onions, and arugula on that signature bread that they use. Other new additions over there, the Big Smoke is speck, truffle cream, scamorza cheese, which is a smoked cheese, and arugula. And then the Lamb-tastic, which I have to go back and try, roasted lamb, pecorino cream, marinated peppers, and arugula. And
Well,
I
that's
really,
speaking to me, yeah.
I really do like Alantico de Vinaio. I love the sandwiches they make. I used to think like, they're $20 sandwiches, but like you always have leftovers, so that made it worthwhile. And then I've been going to places that are selling $20 sandwiches where I don't have fucking leftovers.
Oh, no.
So
Yeah.
now Alantico de Vinaio definitely is starting to look like a bargain for me. It's right in the Uncommons. They're bringing one into Venetian Palazzo very soon. Of course, the original is in Venice, and they have a whole bunch of them over there. Rich, you and I went to the new Nomikai sushi speakeasy in the Venetian with items from the menu that they brought out for us to sample it, and some cocktails by James Manos, who's doing the cocktails over there. He was, of course, the founder of Abel Baker Brewery, and he's done a ton of other stuff here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he had a story. He talked about telling stories, and boy, he had some long stories for each one of the cocktails that was paired with various sushi things. A beautiful, sort of a chopped tuna thing on rice, hand roll with a little bit of caviar on top. The sushi four ways, halibut, tuna, a slightly bruleed salmon, and a beef, a little Wagyu beef thing. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. That was good. It was, but yeah, no, there was a lot of really good food there. It's a cool spot. If you've been to the Venetian and Palazzo recently, you may know that like across from Sugarcane by the theater there, by the Voltaire Theater where they have that bar, there's basically a sushi like counter, I think, on the outside. And then you can knock on this door. You get the hostess stand. They'll take you in the back. It's actually a pretty sizable spot back there, and they do have a beautiful private dining room with a single table, kind of an omakase kind of table there. And I really dug it, man. I saw a lot of people that I knew. Oliver Wharton's over there involved with that project. And, a lot of people on the local scene are involved with that. So I definitely really enjoyed that. Did you have fun?
You were in a chair, but I was in the booth, and boy, I could have fallen asleep in that comfy booth. A lot of banquettes, a lot of, it's dark. They turned up the music sometime, but all other times it was at decent conversation level, which is important when you're old and can barely hear anymore. And it felt nice in there, cozy.
Yeah. I chilled out later in the week at the Bel Air Backyard, one of my favorite places to go and just sip an after work beverage or have like a snack, like a sliders. This, of course, is part of the Bel Air Lounge in the Durango Resort, but it's their patio and it's a lot of fun. This time of year, you should be looking for patio spots, and go to Neon Feast. By the way, we've got a list of best places for alfresco dining, and Bel Air Backyard's not on that because it's not really a restaurant, but you can get bites there. It's a lot of fun overlooking the Durango pool.
I envision a return. We did the podcast when the hour the Durango opened up now almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or a little after. It's time to get back to that backyard.
Yeah. I paid a visit to the brand new Pisces in Wynn, Las Vegas, not to dine there, but to speak to their chef, Martin Hirling. You're going to hear that full interview next week. You can also hear our friend on last week's episode, our friend Rob Cashelreese talks all about his meal there. I have yet to eat there. But it was great reconnecting with Martin, whom I've known since his days at Bellagio, opened Sensei over there. It's great to have him back in town. Full interview with him next week, but I'm not going to leave you high and dry this week. Here's a small bit of that interview with him telling me about the menu and how it differs from that of the restaurant's predecessor, which was, of course, Lakeside in Wynn, Las Vegas.
We still do a dry aged fish program. I think it's more expanded than it was before. But for the most part, the direction of the food is Mediterranean. It's very, very different than what was before. It was mostly more Hawaiian driven, the fish program before, which I think was very good. And now I'm just going back and sort of combine, like there's a legacy here too with like the Bardolotas of the world and everything in this building. So I've gone back to sourcing the Mediterranean fish and flying it in, and dry aging pretty much all the grilled fish. We butcher it in-house, all boneless. And then I bring ingredients to the table that I think that are very common. I use plankton, I use olive oils that are incredible, totally different than what you're used to. None of them are Italian, mostly Greek and Spanish.
I should also mention, man, the renovations to that room are stunning. The place is just so gorgeous. Shades of blue, beautiful. Great raw bar / bar in the front lounge area, and just, great view, of course, of the Lake of Dreams. They gave it a hell of a makeover, and everything at Wynn's always beautiful to begin with, but they're always putting new renovations in, and they really did great spot. So tune in next week, and we'll have a nice long interview with Chef Martin Hireling about that. We've been mentioning the PastaRamen pop-up that's currently underway at Bar Zazu. Well, I made it in there on, I think, their second night of operations. Fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, I'd say top 3 restaurants that I've discovered in the past year would probably be Tamba at Town Square, Stubborn Seed at Resorts World, and then I would say this PastaRamen pop-up that they're doing. It's Wafu Italian, which means Japanese influenced Italian. We've heard Nicole Brissone talk about it quite a bit on the show, so I won't go too crazy into it. But they renovated Bar Zazu. There's a little bit of new art. They brought a DJ in who sets the mood. Really cool, really young, really hip, lots of influencers there. This is a place that has been pop-up oriented since they opened nobody uses the word illegally, but I mean, let's call it what it is. They opened illegally as private functions during COVID, right? Where they just sold tickets and had you in private rooms. And of course, they take the pop-up all over the country, but they have a couple regular brick and mortar locations in New Jersey. This was their first time in Vegas. I think that they're shopping for a Vegas location. I mean,
I was going to say, what other reason to do that kind of pop-up here?
Yeah, it's going to be there for a month, but I'd love to see it last longer. It's really, really cool. Something that definitely speaks to that influencer generation of people. Like, that's how they spread the word. They're a pop-up only, right? So they use social media to let people know where they are, and people respond. Lots of people in there, and it was absolutely a fantastic meal. Like I mentioned the decor, but let's talk about some of the dishes. Started off with, again, we're talking Wafu Italian or Japanese Italian, right? So I started off with some cacio e pepe gyoza, which was cacio e pepe filling inside the traditional dumplings. Beautiful. I did some abalone with fried maitake mushrooms. Not my favorite dish of the night, but a very good dish. The mushrooms were fantastic. Abalone is something that I always order because you can't get it that often. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I like to get it from time to time. And it was tender. It was nice. I did enjoy it. Sue had the Tomomi ramen shrimp scampi, which came with ponzu, garlic, and shrimp. I had the mochi ramen with caviar and pepperoni. And I ordered that because I was like, this is either going to be the worst fucking combination that I could imagine or the best. I'll tell you, the mochi ramen, heavy in starch, a lot starchier than the other noodles. Fantastic. A big dollop of something dairy creamy on top, and then a big scoop of caviar. And then they mix it in tableside for you. It's so fucking good. I could just not believe how absolutely amazing this dish was. I loved it. And you don't think the salt of caviar and then that spice, that cured meat of pepperoni, they work. They fucking work together. Really, really good. Sue loved her ramen as well. For desserts, I had a sesame panna cotta, which was fantastic with some crumbled graham cracker crust. I can't even remember what dessert Sue had, but it was really, really good. Oh, yeah, strawberries, mochi strawberries with Harry's berries. And that just fucking fantastic. Everything about this place. Really, really recommend it. I was out. Yeah. Again, if you are like somebody that runs a restaurant program at a casino, just fucking give them a deal. This is something new, something Vegas could use, something that's really cool, something that's for a younger generation than myself, but I can appreciate the shit out of how creative it is. And I just really, really love it. I dined at Emmett's last night. Really good meal there, and I had an interview to do with Emmett Smith himself for an LVCVA article that's going to be coming out at visitlasvegas.com. I also spoke to his chef, Chef Antoine. So I'll let you know when that post over at visitlasvegas.com. Impressions, my first meal there is this is not a football themed steakhouse. This is a high-end steakhouse with a lot of Cajun and Creole touches, in the way that Emerald would do it, one of his steakhouses. Also some sushi rolls, things like that. Very refined atmosphere there. Now they're going to open up a top floor, which I think is going to be much more sports themed, but they had games on behind the bar, but it was not like you were in a sports bar. It was like you were in an elevated steakhouse right there in the Fashion Show Mall overlooking the Las Vegas Strip. I liked it more than I was expecting to like it. I went there for a job assignment, right? The LVCVA wanted me to go. I went there. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
So this thing is on the south end of the Fashion Show Mall, right? Fronting Las Vegas Boulevard.
It is the old sugar factory space.
Okay, yeah, sort of south end. At the very north end, a mere, less than 100 yards away, to continue the football metaphor, is Capitol Grill, one of the highest end steakhouses in the country. What's the difference?
I don't eat at Capitol Grill very often. I've been in there a couple times. I would say the Creole and Cajun influences are a big difference. The more liberal use of sushi. They did even like a classic Nobu dish, which is the hamachi in ponzu with jalapeno or habaneros, or serranos, depending on which chef is doing it. That's a dish that you get everywhere. But it was notable for how good the cuts of the hamachi, the yellowtail fish, was just so fresh, so beautiful. So they're taking their sushi really, really seriously there. That would be, I'd say, what the difference is. You're going to get that Cajun, you're going to get that Creole, you're going to get a little more sushi.
Excellent. So coming up, we check in with Happy Hour Vegas, our weekly happy hour recommendations. Carson Avenue is getting a makeover. Memorial Day weekend, there's a burger pop-up at the Cosmopolitan. First, a couple of conversations with Al, developer Chris Clifford, and Bloody Mary entrepreneur Diane Mina. What they're talking about? Well, stay and listen. This is Food and Loathing.
So I'm here with Chris Clifford. Interesting story. I got a call from an old chef buddy of mine, and he's like, this guy I know has got something cool going on in Henderson, or at least he hopes something cool is going to go on in Henderson, but he's got the planning boards and all that shit. I don't usually get that deep into stories, but I always like to talk to people who want to bring good food. And from what I heard when I first spoke to this gentleman was that he really wants to bring some good food to Green Valley. And I think that they could use some outside of the casino. So now I'm interested. So allow me to introduce Chris Clifford. And he is the developer of a project called The Cliffs, which is going to be located, if I understand it right, St. Rose Parkway and Paseo Verde. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
What else did I get wrong? What, if anything, did I get wrong?
The only other thing, it's just The Cliff. Not The Cliffs, The Cliff.
Okay, cool. The Cliff. Only one. You only need one cliff. Okay, so tell me a bit about what this project is. Because, again, this isn't a real estate show. We talk about food, but this is what you're trying to do is a lot more than just food.
So this project...
is a lot more than just real estate. It's very food heavy.
The fact is this project actually was born because of food. We had a good client that that we were working with on putting one of his restaurants on the Las Vegas Strip, and he came to me and he goes, Chris, I want to do one of my other restaurants. It's for locals, so it won't fit on the Strip, and I'd like to find a place for it. And what we ended up doing is we actually went down to Henderson, we went down to Serene, and I was like, what about taking one of these office buildings and putting a restaurant into it? Long story short, to do just one 5,000 square foot restaurant in a 100,000 square foot building doesn't exactly economically pencil out. So about a year after we were starting to work on that one, these two buildings that I have acquired in August of 23 came available sometime in late 21, early 22. And here we are now that I ended up putting the properties in escrow after working with the owner for about a year. And really the essence of it is that we were trying to put another restaurant in, and now we said, okay, we'll take 100,000 square feet. Not that we're going to put 100,000 square feet of restaurants, but we said that it makes sense to go ahead and bring a new brand of food, a new quality of food, a new environment of food to the Henderson area.
Okay, so location-wise, and I didn't drive past it today. We're right around the corner from it right now, but I did right there, right? So it is kind of, there's Green Valley Ranch on Paseo Verde, and then I think there's like some fitness center or something, and then there's this intersection, right?
Correct.
Okay, now, so we know location. Everybody can picture that now. Now, let's talk about the type of project, because you sent me over the brochure, and I was looking at it, and I get a lot of those things, I won't tell you how many I get. They don't always interest me, but this one did. Do you see this? I want people to be able to wrap their head around it. So we need comparables, right? So are we talking about something like the District? Are we talking about something like Uncommons? I know that whatever you do is going to be unique, but what's the comparable?
So the comparable hasn't even been created in Las Vegas in my own mind. The District was born ground up, new construction. Uncommons was born ground up, new construction. And ever since COVID, the reality is that we've got a lot of these office buildings that are going vacant because people aren't moving back into their office spaces. And this is one of those buildings that there's very few buildings that have the right structure in terms of depth and exposure to the streets and exposure to the consumer. And this was one of those buildings that actually had all of those components. It had the right zoning that allowed for restaurants. It had the right population. It had all the right things that you could actually take an office building like this and do what's called adaptive reuse. So that being said, what we're really trying to do is, if you want to compare it, there are projects more in, I don't want to say Southern California, but that's where they've been born. There's a project called the Beacons up in Carlsbad. There's the Lab Anti-Mall in Costa Mesa. Then there are hybrid projects like Rick Russo's project, The Grove, in LA, that they've taken buildings like this and they've really reformatted what they are and created an environment for the locals.
Okay, so I think that distinction is really important, certainly from a developer's perspective, certainly from people who prefer we don't tear things down and build up all over again. I mean, but from the average person's perspective, can we compare it to those other projects that I was talking about, or the Bend? When I drive by it, is it going to be office buildings, entertainment space, some workspace? How's that going to be, some living space, some apartments, condo, anything? How's it going to break down?
So it is a 100,000 square foot facility that will be 100,000 square feet of office that is being converted into 100,000 square feet of retail. That retail, it'll have ready to wear, it will have F&B, it will have other health and fitness, it'll have coffee, it'll have everything that is based around the consumer. There will not be any living, there will not be any office space. It will be all boutique-y, retail-based, local, consumer-based spending type stores. We do have one anchor tenant that is a great anchor tenant. They've never stepped foot in the state of Nevada, so this will be their first unit in the entire state. In fact, they had been to the Bend, they had been to Uncommons, they had been to Town Square, they had been to downtown Summerlin, and they specifically say to me, there's nothing here that excites us. And after talking to them for about a year and really getting them to understand the project, and them pushing me as well, we, after a long, arduous negotiation, after 2 years of discussions, we signed them as our first tenant in March 21st of 2025.
Can you reveal who that is?
I would love to, but I still got to get a positive vote from the City Council of Henderson on June 3rd because it's tied to that.
Okay, so we're going to get into that in a second because that's always a fun story for those of us who don't live that life. Always interesting to hear, and I've been to some of those meetings. But, okay, so what type of restaurants are you looking for? Let's at least go there first before we start talking about the politics of it. You can't mention names, but can you talk about concepts? Can you talk about the feel of them?
We're looking for environment-based restaurants, meaning that I'm not looking for McDonald's. I'm not looking for Red Robin. And nothing against any of those guys, but I'm I'm looking for restaurants that a hospitality group goes out there and they create an environment for their consumer. Something that you actually want to go back for the service, the food, the ambiance, and everything. So those are the type of restaurants that we're talking to. We're talking to a lot of great hospitality groups out of both Phoenix, out of LA, out of Orange County, that are all looking to do, like, they've got great restaurants already that they've created and curated out of those different municipalities, and they're looking to bring a Vegas-minded concept to the Las Vegas market. When I say Vegas-minded, I'm not saying that it's like neon lights or anything like that, but if they've got a concept in Scottsdale, they want to intertwine some of the Las Vegas environment into their concepts. I've got a restaurant right now that is from Orange County that they want to bring in a little bit of the 70s Las Vegas icon into the environment. I've got another group that they want to do a speakeasy that they have a really cool idea from the 50s that they want to do. So we're trying to bring in more experiences, and I hate to use that word because it's been a little bit overused, but they want to bring in an environment to it. So we're not looking for your traditional restaurant. We're looking for your more unique type restaurants.
Okay, so I've never developed anything. I don't know how it works, but I know some people who've been involved with it, and it seems like it's always a clusterfuck along some ways. But one of the obstacles is getting past local government, right? And I'm assuming because this was zoned for something else that you actually bought buildings that existed, that may give you a zoning problem. I don't know, but you are up against some issues with the city of Henderson. So, of course, they're not here to give their side. They're welcome if they ever want to come on my show. But where are you when it comes to the city of Henderson?
So with the city of Henderson, believe it or not, I actually have the zoning. But the problem with the zoning is the zoning is not correct for a lot of, including the restaurants that I want, because they have business licenses that the city has never actually thought about actually having. So we actually have been educating the city of Henderson as to how retail has evolved so much in just the last 10 years. So it's been a little bit harder than we expected because, again, you thought that it'd be easy because you already have the zoning, but because we're changing signage plans, because we're changing the electrical, the plumbing, the mechanical, and all those good things. Grease traps. One of the most simple things to state is that the city has been used to every single restaurant has its own grease trap. However, for my plan, I want to do what's called communal grease traps so that any space can hook up into my grease trap so that they can easily connect to it, right? But the problem is that if you have an individual grease trap, then after I spend millions of dollars on my hardscape, then I have to go in and I have to cut open all of my brand new hardscape and drop a grease trap in, and that just doesn't make any sense. So that was one of the more simple things that we had to educate the city of Henderson and say, I'm going to spend all this and then you want me to do this. This doesn't make any logical sense. Let me go ahead, and when I've got this whole thing ripped up, let me go ahead and put the stubs so that every single tenant or every single space in this facility can be used as a restaurant if they so desire in the future. So there's been a lot of things that we've had to educate the city of Henderson. It's been signage, it's been grease traps, it's been plumbing, it's been electrical.
Yeah, so you want to put like a big Vegas-style sign up there, right, on the intersection?
I do. And I don't want to say a Vegas-style sign. I want to say a newly... When you go through the United States of America and you really go look at the signage that people are doing now, we're sitting right here at a center right now that they've got the traditional pylon sign, and unfortunately the signs are actually warped because it's just vinyl that's been placed on plastic, and it doesn't look good after really as short as 6 months after one summer. And we want to put the OLED-based EMS signage up there so that we're going to be responsible as a landlord to make sure that, one, it's working correctly, and two, that it stays Class A. So that's what we're doing right now. And
so is this like pissing off the neighbors? Is that the problem you have?
Yeah, and unfortunately they're not educated. Like even the backlit signage that a lot of centers have right now, the ambient light is so bright that you can actually see it across the street. But with the newest technology of LED and OLED, it's actually dimmer than what the light perspective is from the signage that, as we sit here right now, it's actually not nearly as bright as those. But unfortunately, the community is not knowledgeable enough to understand that our technology has evolved so much that it's not nearly as bright as people think it is.
So these people are worried that they're going to wake up and they're going to have the emoji from the fucking sphere out their window, right? And you're saying, no, it's going to look good, but it's not going to fucking disturb your homes.
You're exactly right. People think that it's just going to be just nailing right into their back window, and they're going to have to look at it all day long. And that's just not accurate. The blacks have gotten so black, and the ambient light has been so reduced that you can actually have a candle lit on my property, and that's actually brighter across the street than the actual signage from the newest technology of the EMS and the LEDs and the OLEDs and all that good stuff.
So where's your next step? I know that as we sit here, you have a government meeting tonight. By the time people hear this, that will have happened already. But, yeah, what's the process right now?
So right now, again, something that a lot of people don't know is that we've been working on this hard for about 2 years now. We had original city council vote back in December of 2024, and that has been bumped out to June 3rd of 2025. And what it is that we've been having to educate a lot of people about how advanced our technology is and what the signage is, including an 85-page master sign plan that stipulates what the signage will look like. And even the city of Henderson has been blown away. They're like, we've never seen this intricate of a signage plan that spells out everything that can be done with regards to signage and why it'll be and what it'll be and the sizing and everything else. So we'll be stating our case to the city council on June 3rd, and as long as they say yes to it, then hopefully after that our construction documents are fully complete, which is another thing that's backwards. We actually completed our construction documents 6 months ago, which is usually not done until after you get your entitlements. But in order to show them everything that we've done, we have pre-spent, and without even having a yes vote, we've had everything ready to go. And our hope is that after June 3rd, planning can get to work on reviewing our plans, and hopefully we have our permits 90 to 120 days later.
So we know these meetings. It's usually the people who are pissed off, who don't like the idea, that shows up. So I've done a few of those. It's always the people that think it's going to fuck up their backyard that show up, and they're angry. Nobody ever shows up and says, yeah, I want something there in 2 years, right? But you're out here trying to rally the public. So are you asking the public to do anything right now, do anything in support of it, or are you just trying to spread the word? Because from my perspective, and I think from my listeners' perspective, I'm just a geek. I like listening to how this happens. But clearly, you've got a message to get out there. What is that?
On June 3rd, I would love for people who want to see a new creative-based retail facility that changes what retail is in the state of Nevada to come out on June 3rd and look at Councilman Dan Stewart and Mayor Romero and say, we want the Cliff.
Thanks for your time, man. And look, I hope it happens, and I hope I get to eat a lot of great meals there.
Thank you very, very much.
So I'm here with Diane Mina, and I guess to a lot of people, she is just Mrs. Michael Mina, but that's just because you don't know all the other great things she does. And she is a Bloody Mary expert, connoisseur, aficionado. Hey, Ms. Mina, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Al. Thank you so much. This is very fun. Appreciate you. Cool.
So you have your own brand of Bloody Mary mix, correct? And then I know it's used in restaurants. I mean, I know for a while, all over the people have been using it. Mm-hmm. And I believe in all of your husband's restaurants. But how did you get into creating a Bloody Mary mix?
When Mike and I started our restaurant company, and we were doing a lot of batching, using tomato juice and then just adding all of the elements. And that's wonderful, a la minute, kind of a la carte, kind of customizable. But for me, I'm more of the operations front of the house, chef's back of the house. So when we created our company many years ago, and we've been together for 35 years, I was like, I think we can streamline this a little bit. So when we had an opportunity in California, Southern California, to do the new Levi Stadium, we were doing the Michael Mina tailgate. And he's like, hey, you got to do your Bloody Mary bar. And I said, well, honey, it was a year out. I'm like, if I'm going to do a bar, I'm not going to use someone else's mix. Would you invest in me? And we were living on 3 acres in West Marin at the time. And I said, can I make my own mix? And he's like, how much is that going to cost me? And I'm like, not too much. Come on. So that's what I did. I tested, I planted everything that I would want out of the final product. So it's kind of like a scratch recipe. So it was really for the restaurant experience. The Mina brand is premier. I mean, people love the Mina experience. It's got this casual approach, but it's also premier. So I knew that standing next to chef, I would have to have something that was going to be, raising the bar a bit. So they're 100% organic tomatoes from Italy. So from what I started with in my garden, it took me about 10 years to get it, to find the right suppliers and vendors to equal my garden recipe, if that makes any sense, right? From batching to a bottle is I didn't plan it. It just naturally happened. So.
Okay. Breaking it out for the first time for people tailgating at a football game, which I don't know. I'm not a football guy. I tailgate at concerts, but it's a different vibe, different time of day. I don't imagine the Bloody Mary being the preferred beverage of choice for a bunch of football guys. So I guess I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? The Bloody Mary and the Michelada and the Bloody Marias. And, oh, yeah, it's a big deal. Because most people start, so even if your game's at like 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock, people start tailgating at 9 a.m. So the preferred beverage at 9 a.m. is a Bloody Mary, right? Or a glass of champagne, rosés, and beers. But then you fall asleep by the time game time comes. So, yeah, that's kind of what we did. So I used to throw down the tailgates when we were at the Candlestick. Drop down the tailgate, and I would just have a plethora of garnishes and just have a good time with it.
Okay, so you are bringing your Bloody Marys to Bardot Brasserie Memorial Day weekend, one day only, at least for now, of a Bloody Mary brunch. What can you tell me about that?
So brunching is fun. It's a fun experience. Like going out to dinner is like, it seems a little bit more formalized. I'm the lighter side of the Mina. So brunching is fun, and I want to turn it into a party. I grew up on the East Coast, Puerto Rican Italian home, so I always had music on. So it's delicious brunch and delicious Bloody Marys and fabulous music, and we're bringing a vibe to life. We're celebrating people and commuting and bringing people together. Especially, in this industry of hospitality and the way everything is kind of happening around the world, people need to gather together and enjoy each other. So that's what I want to do. I want to, even in this beautiful restaurant, Bardot is gorgeous and it's upscale. So I'm going to bring a little quirkiness to it, I guess you could say, with our delicious product. And the garnishes are going to be, I'm so excited because we're going all out. It's a gorgeous charcuterie garnish, different variations of spirits. So we're going to have, the Dirty Diane, we're going to have a bloody bourbon. We're going to have it with gin and sake. We're really going to blow it up. So we're going to show the product itself is one thing. It's the Bloody Mary mixers with different spirits and how people can enjoy them in different forms. And then the menu is complemented to the Bloody Mary mixers. So I'm really excited about it. So the party aspect of it is I just enjoy what I do. I love what I do, and I love having a good time with people, and I love music. So hopefully there'll be a few surprises. I'll be emceeing and singing along.
Okay, cool. Of course, Bardot Brasserie already has one of the best brunches in Las Vegas. Everybody loves it. At least everybody I know loves it. But you're going to do a special menu for this one, right?
Special menu. So the a la carte brunch menu will still be there. And then for the Diane's Bloody Mary part of it, the brunch party, some of my classics, again, from the East Coast. There was a Long Island egg sandwich that's going to be on there, so it's a classic.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you're a New Yorker. An egg sandwich is like any meal, anytime, anywhere.
All day long. On a Kaiser roll, double the meat, double the egg, double the cheese. That's a big deal. And I'm so grateful for the culinary team to even let that come into this space. And then we're going to do a champagne battered fish and chips, which is just delicious. And there's a few other specials I won't give away, but everything's online at aria.com for Bardot, so you can check out the menu online. We're from 9 to 2 on Saturday on the 24th. Yeah.
So it'll be a la carte, but additional items. It'll be the traditional a la carte plus additional a la carte items. And then will the Bloody Marys be bottomless, or will they be a la carte as well?
A la carte as well, yeah.
What do you charge for a Bloody Mary? People want to know.
Oh my gosh, I think it varies. I mean, here I believe it's $18.
No, that's a good deal on the Strip, man. I mean, we all hesitate talking about prices these days, but things cost what they cost.
They really do. And I got to say, we are bumping up the garnish a little bit, so, don't hold me to that 18, but I'm pretty confident on that. And again, we want it to be an experience where people, they want to see value, right? So we want to bring not just sitting at a table, dining with friends. We want to have the staff engaged with the meal. We want to have everybody really excited about it. It's a family. We want people to come in. Doesn't matter what the restaurant looks like. You have to feel like you're in a family environment, always, to make people feel good.
I've got to know, what's it like working with your husband? Is Chef easy to work with?
Is he easy to work with? So I've done a lot of events with Chef. Again, it's been 35 years. Is he easy? No, and I wouldn't expect it to be, because I feel he's brilliant, and I love learning from him. I've actually honed into my cooking skills so much more since I've met him. Growing up in the home that I did, I learned how to cook Italian food, the nonna cooking, the Puerto Rican style cooking, but then the refinement and the customization and the balance I learned from Chef. And I just think it's brilliant, because it's basics, and then of course you can go from there, right? I'm not a trained chef. I love cooking, I love creating, I love developing. And with him, sometimes he can get a little used to not picking up after himself and doing the dishes. Like, that's the only thing I'm like, Michael, if you just use the saute pan, can you clean it? Or there is no, dish crew here.
There's no team back there, huh?
It's just me. And, but he is the fastest dishwasher ever, I have to say. No one really knows that. But Michael started in Seattle, and he worked in the dish room, and he was super fast. He likes to brag about it. So
okay, well, thank you for that. And while I have you here, there's a question I have to ask you, and if you don't have an answer at the ready, we'll just cut this out completely. But if I'm remembering correctly, I have Chef's original cookbook at home. The caviar parfait, I believe, is on the cover of it, and I believe the story associated with that was that he first made that dish for you on your honeymoon. Am I getting that right?
You're 1,000% correct. He calls it the love letter on our honeymoon. So I love breakfast. Ergo, obviously, I love brunch. So I love breakfast. And at that opportunity, we were staying in a hotel, and I looked at the menu, and they had, the lox and bagels. Who doesn't love that? And then they had a bento box. So I ordered lox and bagels, bento box, scrambled eggs, and hash browns. And I had it all, because I wanted American. I wanted it all. And it was delicious, and it was so fun, because I had this big tray of food. And Chef was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just building. And then he made me the perfect bite. He goes, let me try something. He surprised me and had caviar brought up to the room. And I was like in tears. I was like, what is going on? And then he took all those fun elements and kind of mixed it together. And here's the interesting part. Totally enjoyed it. We both enjoyed it. But then he left for an hour or two. And he's like, I got to put a meal. I'm doing this thing. I got an idea to make this terrine, timbal, or whatever it was called back then. I was like, adios meal. So yeah,
wow,
that's a true story.
And it's gone on to be a signature item. So, I mean, imagine one of his signature items born on your honeymoon. I mean, that's a hell of a relationship.
It is. And it's lasted 35 years. I'm grateful. Yes.
Well, thanks a lot for your time. One more time, date and time of your brunch.
May 24th at Bardot Brasserie from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the reservations are aria.com.
Up next, the Happy Hour Report and the news. This is Food and Loathing. By now you know about Neon Feast, the app that serves up Las Vegas restaurant recommendations, not from self-appointed influencers hustling for free meals or flame from disgruntled diners. Neon Feast gives you suggestions based on our conversations with Vegas restaurant pros, the chefs, managers, owners, writers, bloggers, and others who make this industry great. What kind of food do you want? What part of the valley? How much to spend? What's the occasion? Ask Neon Feast and get the answers. Also check for restaurant news and in-depth features at Neon News. We have you covered with the Neon Feast app and neonfeast.com. And for restaurant news you can use, neonnews.vegas.
And we are back once again with Andrew Morgan, happyhourvegas.com, your one and only spot to go when you are looking for happy hour, when you want to get things a little less expensive, maybe a little earlier in the day or sometimes a little later in the day, but a great way to try out new restaurants, new bars, new everything. sort of on a budget. And we encourage that. HappyHour.Vegas is the place to go to find all sorts of lists, just like we do at Neon Feast for restaurants. They do it for happy hours. All of it created by my guest, the real guts of this segment of our happy hour report, and that is Andrew Morgan of HappyHourVegas.com. Andrew, how are you?
Doing real well. Excited for today. We're talking about beer today, so.
Okay, talking beer. So, what kind of, are we just talking about happy hours that have great beer specials? Are we talking about happy hours in brew pubs, brew houses, tap rooms, etc.?
I'm kind of shifting more towards the breweries, like the brew houses, craft beers, because, you can go get a Bud Light at anywhere, right? So let's talk about something that's really unique, that's happy hour focused, and that's really kind of, specific to Vegas. And there's a few of them here.
Okay, well, let's hit me with one or two really, really good ones, man.
Yeah, so, if you've ever heard of the concept of Brewery Row, and that's kind of downtown Arts District, there's about 6 or 7, maybe even 8 of really, solid brewery kind of craft beer places that you want to check out. And some of them have happy hours. So my favorite, and I was just there recently, so a little biased here, is Able and Baker. So Able Baker Brewery, they have, it seems like a shit ton wall of beer. And this is all brewed there, really good stuff. I got the flight, which included that, the stout. There was an IPA, and then, of course, the a little more citrusy, lighter on the lighter side. And you get a little free duck. What can go wrong, right?
No, everybody's got a collection of ducks from the flights there, man, because you get a different rubber ducky to float in your bathtub every time you go, or your hot tub, or whatever, wherever you float your ducky.
Exactly. But what's interesting about Able Baker's is actually not technically a happy hour, but you know what? The beer is priced so perfectly anyways. It's like $7 for, a good, half pint. So, but what's interesting about the happy hour there is the food. And, Al and I are foodies. We love, just making sure that we have something, bite-sized with the drink that we're going on here. So they actually work with a kitchen inside Able Baker called Arts District Kitchen. And this is Southeast Asian-inspired street food. And guess what, folks? Starts at $6. So you can grab a flight, grab some bites, and enjoy the real deal Arts District. Outdoor, people watching, Main Street. It's a great vibe.
Okay, Able Baker, and that is really your southernmost anchor of that brewery row. If you're willing to walk a mile and a half and keep walking north, you're going to hit a bunch of them. By the way, when you get to the Japanese place, and I'm singeing on its name, but when you get to the Japanese brewery up there, they've got a great happy hour too. Great, it's actually seafood, not really Japanese, but anyway, that one's got a great one. But one more from you. What else you got for breweries or craft beer bars?
Yeah, I could spend all day downtown in the Arts District talking about beers. So we kind of go uptown a little bit, and you go on the Strip, and you go to Brewdog. Now, Brewdog is a chain, but I will tell you what, they do things well there. It's great food, by the way. Obviously, a wall of beers, great prices, but you're going there for that rooftop experience, right? And I've written about, and we've published, top rooftop happy hours in Vegas, and Brewdog is on there. It's right overlooking the Strip, across from Park MGM. And like I said, it's $7 for a beer, $10 for a cocktail. They got 3 kind of floors to this whole, place, so it's a bit of a map. But like I said, if you want some good air, overlooking the Strip, good people watching, good beer, decent food, you're in good shape. And I will tell you just quickly, just talking about the food, somebody does give a shit in the kitchen because they're sourcing their ingredients from, that farm-to-table feel. They also have the portions that are pretty damn generous, and 50% of their options are plant-based. So if you got the vegan, you got someone who's a little more health-conscious, stuff like that, that's a good place to be. So good vibe, good view, good beer, good food, good price. On the Strip.
What time's their happy hour?
Good question. It is Monday, Thursday, 3 to 6 p.m. So you got 3-hour window there, almost 5 days a week.
Cool. I love Brewdogs. I love going up to their top floor. You got great views of the Strip. Also, when I get a little bored of hanging out with all my drunken friends and I'm not getting all that drunk, I go downstairs and I play pinball. They've got a lot of fucking fantastic pinball at Brewdog. And one last thing, if you have an annoying person like me who really doesn't drink a lot, otherwise give them a bunch of weed, and that's my first piece of advice. But Brewdog, absolutely fantastic because they do alcohol-free versions samples of several of their craft beers. The actual beers that they're selling, there are 4 or 5 of them usually on tap. It'll say AF. I thought it was just beer as fuck, but it is actually alcohol-free beer. So that's me throwing in a little bit there more why I like BrewDog. But of course, the man, the expert, the genius on all of this, Happy Hour Vegas, Andrew Morgan. Go to happyhourvegas.com. You've got all of his recommendations in all sorts of categories. And he says go to BrewDog and go to Abel Baker Brewery on Main Street. Okay, time for that news we were telling you about. Jose Andres has opened his eagerly anticipated Mediterranean restaurant, Zaytinya, in the Forum Shops at Caesar's Palace. Chef Stephanie Martinez is the restaurant's executive chef. And I should say that I stopped when I saw that because I knew a Chef Stephanie from the Jose Andres group, and I looked her up. We had interviewed her on this show, and I was right. Her name was Stephanie Sanfried, right? So I reached out. I did a little research, see if they were the same person. It is. I found a wedding announcement. I confirmed it. So if you know Chef Stephanie from Haleo, where she was, I believe, chef de cuisine for a while, she's going to be in this new spot. I have not been in there yet, but she is overseeing a menu that is steeped in Eastern Mediterranean cuisine with an emphasis on the traditions of Turkey, Greece, and Lebanon. Zaytinya has 4 other locations: New York, Culver City, South Beach, and Washington, D.C. I have not been in to check it out, but I have RSVP'd for a grand opening party on June 5th, so hopefully I will have more for you after that. You just heard Diane Mina talking about her Bloody Mary brunch pop-up at Michael Mina's Bardot Brasserie in Aria. So I'm just going to remind you one more time that that's going to take place this Saturday as this podcast drops on Friday. That's going to be May 24th. Also on Saturday the 24th, you can preview the new Cosmopolitan burger spot, Naughty Patties, at 6 p.m. It's a pop-up. The first 25 people in line will get complimentary Naughty Patties for a year. The catch is I can't tell you exactly where the pop-up will take place. For that info, you need to check out the Naughty Patties Instagram page, which is at NAUGHTYPATTYS, Naughty Patties. They'll post the location the day of the event, and the first 25 people, like I said, Naughty Patties for a year. I can share a bit of my interview because I popped in there. I was supposed to go to a full, sampling and all that kind of stuff, but I had to get over to May Dailies that day. So I went a little early, and I had the chance to chat with the Cosmopolitan's Vice President of Food and Beverage, Jessica Sample, and the property's executive chef, Mark Crane, and ask them to give us a little bit of the lowdown on Naughty Patties.
The pop-up's really about giving folks an opportunity to get a taste and a preview of what's to come when we open Naughty Patties in July as an extension of Block 16. We're going to be featuring some of the core staple items that are really at the center of the overall menu, including the burger, the fries with dipping sauce, and a sample of our concretes.
What background should people know on Naughty Patties?
So it's essentially designed to be a bit of an extension of Block 16, right? So it kind of fits in that framework. Obviously, we have a void of a burger restaurant, so we really wanted to embrace that void, put a lot of research into this. So it's really something we're really, really passionate about, and we love burgers. So,
what kind of burger? Smash burgers are all the rage these days. Are we getting a smash burger?
Yes, it's a smash burger, yes.
Okay. What else could you tell me about the burger itself?
So we've been working on the blend specifically, also the bun. From start to finish, we have tried numerous recipes. We've landed on something that we love. Also the fries, the sauce that goes in the burger, whether to do sides inside, lettuce, tomato, onion. So we've been R&Ding a lot on this one, and I think for us, the finished product eats super well, super flavorful. Really proud of it.
And I was down on Carson Avenue last week. I was actually shooting some photos of Parlor because they're being added to Neon Feast. And I bumped into Liam Dwyer, the owner of 7th and Carson. And Liam always has the dirt, Rich, man. You want to know what's going on in like the East Fremont, the Carson Avenue restaurant row. Liam has his ear to the ground. I love 7th and Carson. So I said, man, what is going on with this plan to officially rechristen that area of Carson Avenue? It's going to become Las Vegas's restaurant row. They've got a ton of renovations planned. They've been moving the timetable around on those renovations. Here's Liam Dwyer talking about it.
RTC are putting in a bus route from the airport all the way to downtown Las Vegas to bring tourists from the airport to our little community. So it's coming down Maryland Parkway all the way from the airport, turns left onto Carson and runs Carson down to 3rd Street and then goes to Bonneville. So they're going to rip up all the curbs, the sidewalks, the streets, signs, new trees. Everything's going to be brand new. They only started the project about 8 months ago, and it's going to finish in the middle of next summer completely. So this summer, we decided to just close our block down and take out all the curbs and do all the upgrades now while it's slow during the summer. So that way, if we don't do it during the summer, it's going to happen next January, February, March of next year. And that's our peak season, January through May 31st.
Right.
So our goal is to get all the work done this summer. They're going to come in, they're going to take up all the curbs. They'll lay down a temporary curb so we have access for all the restaurants. And then they'll come and put in new trees, new lights, new signs. And then the city of Las Vegas is going to help us launch the Carson Avenue Restaurant Row, which are all 8 restaurants that run from Las Vegas Boulevard and Carson to 8th Street and Carson.
I hope that thing works out well, because it's like Carson Avenue's been under construction for a decade, it seems, or Maryland Parkway, or one of the other numbered streets near there. Nothing's ever finished.
I don't want to be like kissing ass to the city or anything, but like, let's be honest, the fucking I-15 and the 15 are never finished either in this town.
Yeah.
So like, nothing's ever finished in this town. We probably hold the record for most orange cones out on the road of the city at any given fucking time.
Like the entire valley is an airport, because airports are never finished.
That's true.
All right. Chef Grant McPherson. Strong ties to Las Vegas.
Tell me about that. Sorry, dude, I'm walking over you.
Okay.
Please tell me about Chef Grant. Go for it.
He's been around since the opening of the Bellagio restaurant program in 1998. He is about to publish a new book based on his Vegas experiences there and at the Wynn and other spots. It's called From the Strip to the Stove, 53 Lobster Recipes You Don't See Coming.
Oh, damn.
I'll be there for that. It includes recipes for lobster s'mores. Oh, you lost me there. Frozen pop, succotash. The book will have photos by Bill Milne, and a foreword by the guy who's the reason I came to Las Vegas, the late, great Norm Clark. We are trying to set up an interview. We will give you details there. Cool. Jenna and Michael Morton are opening a new Italian spot called Nudo Italiano in Southern Highlands. Well, you're going to the opening party, right?
Yeah, I'm going to the opening in a few hours, so hopefully I'll have some more news on that next week.
Yeah. Bahama Breeze, we hardly knew you. Well,
yeah.
Because there was only one in the Vegas, but they closed them all over the country. The parent company, I've seen this not just on Eater, but in other places. I was reading some stories from Florida, North Coast for some reason, and they were all in mourning because they had like 5 of them around Jacksonville. But the one in the Hughes Center, gone, finished, Morte.
That's about it, man. Thanks to all of our guests, Diane Mina, Jessica Sample, Mark Crane, Liam Dwyer, Chris Clifford. Did I forget to say Martin Hirling? Let's make sure we thank him. I'm Al Mancini. I'm with Rich Johnson. We are wishing a speedy recovery to our ailing teammate, Gemini Stevens. We love you, Gemini. We love all of you who are listening every week. Stay hungry, people.